Hi, welcome back. SF Live episode 162. It's Thursday. That means it's Discovery Thursday as well. A format we have established in recent weeks where we showcase smaller companies, new companies that haven't been on anybody's radar screen, companies that potentially breed drilling, like in Visionary Gold's case. And we'll be joined by Wes Adams. He's the CEO of the company. I'm extremely excited to have him on. He's based in Colorado in the US, and their project is in Wyoming. And I'm quite excited to learn more about Wyoming and also their plans moving forward, and really figure out like why we showcase them on Discovery Thursday, and why we think it's a good idea to take at least a closer look. But before we switch over to Wes, let me remind you to follow us on Twitter and YouTube as well. Don't forget to turn on the bell notification. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, of course. But the bell notifications reminds you when we go live with our updates and our interviews. As you know, we do all our interviews live, so make sure to use that to your advantage. Like, make sure to look the CEO in the eye while he's giving his presentation or while he's answering our questions. That is a huge difference, and or can make a huge difference, and we hope that is to your advantage. And I think that's it on my end. Without further ado, let me switch over to Mr. Wes Adams. Wes, wonderful. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing,
Not too
Pat?
bad. It's like it's a busy day. This is our third SF Live for today, so I hope the audience is still with us, and we haven't lost anybody. But it's been a busy news day, and I'm quite excited to talk to you about Visionary Gold as well, a new company with a project in Wyoming. And before we dive into some of the details and some of the questions, of course, we've prepared for you, run us through the project highlights and the company highlights. Give us a quick 30, 60-second cliff notes.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're a fairly new company.
Wes? Are you kidding me? We just lost Wes. We just talked for 15 minutes. I do apologize for that. Wes?
We
Wes? No, it's frozen. No, we are frozen. I don't hear you, Wes.
Last year we've got a high 30s in the U.S.
Wes, we have to start again. Like, nope.
You don't
like
hear
the
me.
last 15 seconds. You are back now, though. Let's
Okay,
start over.
sorry.
Let's start over with a company introduction.
Okay, so Visionary Gold is a new company that's been rebranded around an exciting new project in Wyoming. We're focused on high-grade gold in a past-producing district, and we're really excited about revitalizing the gold mining industry in Wyoming, which was once prolific, but hasn't seen much attention since about the 1930s when gold was nationalized and the price was fixed. So now there's a renewed interest in gold with the prices higher, and I think this has been a district opportunity that has been overlooked for a long time now. So we're excited to be the first ones to drill it this summer.
Yeah, it is interesting. As you said, Wyoming, long overlooked. You got a district scale package, no gold exploration really since the 30s. Wyoming's not on my list of destinations in the U.S. yet for gold investments. And give us a more detailed why that is, and why would we know Wyoming? Like, I heard it before, I think, in uranium mining.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of interesting gold projects that are occurring in Wyoming. Historically, it did produce a lot of gold and copper in the early 1900s. But since then, the focus has been on the low-hanging fruit, so to speak, which is the abundant coal mines. Wyoming produces about 39% of the coal that comes out of the U.S. every year. So it's a huge part of our power supply in the U.S. It also produces uranium and a lot of oil and gas. And so, but we're in a situation now where the focus is coming out of the coal and oil and gas, and they're going to need a new industry to replace some of the jobs that are being lost in the energy sector as we move to greener commodities.
Greener commodities is an interesting point. Coal mining needs to be replaced. So let's, before we dive into the project, and I know you picked up an area that had some historic mines on them as well, but let's talk capital structure first so that we know what we're dealing with. Run us through it. It looks very clean on paper.
It is very clean. About 75% of the shares are held by insiders of the company or close, mining investors, mining focused investors that are familiar with this project and really want to build this company around a new gold district in Wyoming. And so I own quite a bit of the shares myself. Uh, my other directors, Mark Blythe, Darren Lindsay, John Kanderka, and Drew Clark, who you may know from Mentala, who has recently joined. We've all put our own money into this project, and so we've got a group that's committed to financing it going forward. We want to get through this first round of drilling and kind of show the world what everybody's been overlooking here
Yeah,
in
like you own
Wyoming.
75% management and insiders. And of course, that also hinders liquidity, of course, right? So the question is, and I love that phrase, is dilution the solution? Like, are you going to get watered down? Are you going to stay pro rata? Are you going to desperately hang on to the 75%?
No, we're all interested in financing the company again, and so I think a lot of our capital that we're raising for drilling and go forward will come from the same investors. So that's something that's pretty unique in the junior mining space. We're asking investors to invest with us and not just in us, and it shows that we're also very confident in what we're doing up there.
The follow up question is sort of a logical one. Like 75%, like how much did you pay for the shares?
So we kind of revitalized this company that was a shell. It had kind of been a copper explorer in the past, and when the company couldn't raise money, we decided to come in and rebrand it. But we didn't dilute. We didn't do a rollback or anything like that. We just we put money into the company, settled all the debts, financed this first year's worth of work that we did up in Wyoming, staked a large land package that we're continuing to build, and so we got in at about 5 cents, no warrants on that, and as you can see, nobody's really selling the stock, and all our shares are free trading. So I think that's a good sign that and a good indication of what kind of investors you're dealing
no,
with
and
here.
as you said, like no warrants. I think that's that's very remarkable. As you said, the company had some history in the past in the copper space, and no warrants I think makes a big difference. And that's what I was hinting at when I said, oh, on paper it looks like a very clean capital structure, right? So you don't have that. But we got to talk about the future as well. Of course, I think last we checked, December 31st, you had $300,000 roughly in terms of cash. How is it looking right now, and what are the plans moving forward to keep this financed?
So yeah, going forward, we're in a pretty good financial position right now, and we have the support of our shareholders going forward. So people have actually been buying the stock. We're moving forward with a drill program this summer, and a lot of that financing is going to come from people that are close to the story that really want to finance the drill program. And so, yes, we're a junior mining company, so you're always in the process of raising money. The key is to put the shares in the right hands, and also to be mindful of your capital structure, which we've all done this several times before. So we know how to navigate the capital markets and have the right investors lined up for supporting a drill
And
program.
the next question actually is like based on cash. Of course, we got to talk about budgets for this year, and that leads to also then segues over to the projects themselves. But let's talk about exploration budget for this year. As you mentioned, you are planning to drill. Run us through the budget for it.
Yeah, so I think we've got about 2 million budgeted for this year. We try to keep our overhead very low, so I don't take a salary. And everybody is just on a consulting basis for right now. We have several advisors that have options, and that's we believe that the way you get compensated is by having success in the long run. And so to finance the drill program this year, I think a lot of that's going to come from our existing shareholders, and then the rest of it will be filled out by a few new investors. So we've permitted about 3,500 meters of drilling. The first phase will probably be about 10 holes. It's targeting a historically productive gold mine that has a nice geophysical target underneath it. So we've not only confirmed that this target is 2.5 kilometers long along the shear, It also seems to have some pretty good width. About 50 meters is what's been mapped, and that's what we've confirmed with the geophysics. So it's a beautiful first target. And we took a channel sample that was across the shear, and it was about 5 grams over 10 meters, and within that there was 3 meters at 12 grams. So, I think in today's day and age, those are nice underground mineable grades. And if we can duplicate that in the drill holes and try to, prove the size potential of this project, I think that's going to be, very accretive for investors.
I want to drill deeper a bit on the project in a second. Just want to circle back to something you just said, like you're not taking a salary. Does that mean it's accruing, or is there a big fat zero also in the balance sheet?
No, it's a big fat zero.
Okay, so
right
it's
now.
not accruing or anything. And okay,
No, I don't get into that. I mean, you get paid when you make discoveries, and I believe we're on the verge of one here. But I've always taken a longer term view. The last project I was working on was Turaparo, when I was with Sandspring Resources, which became Goldex, and now is just being purchased by Grand Columbia, which is a great company that really realized the value of the asset that we discovered in Guyana. This project in Wyoming, I think, is similar in a lot of ways. It's I think going to be a little bit higher grade, maybe not quite as big as Turaparo was at 11 million ounces. But that's what we're targeting up here, something that's high grade and it still has some size potential. And, that's more than one target. And that's the important thing as well to acknowledge, is that we have not just the initial target underneath the Wolf mine, but we have 25 square kilometers in this past producing district. So there's going to be several targets that we're going to be able to drill.
Now, like, how do you define high grade? It's really interesting. Like high grade past production, of course, that's what came out of the Wolf mine, I think it was. How do you define high grade? What are you looking at?
So to me, I mean, I think anything that's over 5 grams is a suitable underground high grade. If you get most of these mines that are orogenic, like this one is, have very good continuity at depth, and kind of pods along the strike where you get these high grade shoots. And without drilling it, we can't really say what we're going to find yet. But the initial indications and the other indications of past producing mines in the area are that you have ore pockets that are above 1 ounce in spots, and then you have areas that are 4 or 5 grams a ton in between. So that's kind of the type of target. In this case, I think it could be bigger because the shear structure is wider than most of the shears that have been historically mined in the basin. So there is potential for there to be some open pittable mineralization in this district as well. But it's never been drill tested. So that's kind of the fun part, is to be the first ones to see what we're dealing with. We know there's gold. We know historically it was very high grade. But it is yet to be drilled. So now we just need to quantify what's there and see what kind of grades we're dealing with. But the initial indications, I mean, we have samples over a meter of 39 grams per ton in our channel sampling. So I think there's a high grade core that we're sitting on right now. That's what we're going to test first. And then we're going to step out and try to test some of the parallel structures and the mineralization along strike as well.
I want to actually take a step back, and I should have asked you that before. Like, to give us a bit of a history, like, A, how did you find the project? And B, how did you acquire it? Run us through some of the terms there. Like, how did that happen?
Well, Mark and John and I on the board of directors, we had been looking. We probably looked at about a dozen different projects before we settled on this one. And last summer, Mark gave me a call and he said, "Hey, this friend of mine, Darren Lindsay, has a project in Wyoming." And I said, "Well, is it South Pass?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I've actually been reading a lot about this for the last couple of years and trying to figure out how to get involved." And so Darren was able to introduce us to the right landowners and the right geologists to kind of put this whole project together. And so I went up there in June of last year and started some due diligence sampling and had a look around. And I was amazed. The first couple samples we took were 20 grams a ton. So that got my attention right away. We were able to secure a reasonable price for the lease of patented ground where we're drilling first, and then we staked about 25 square kilometers around it. Over the course of the summer, we did about 700 geochemical samples, about 70 rock chip samples. And the rock chip samples across the Wolf Claims, which is 1,000 acres, the average was 2.5 grams a ton from 70 samples across the entire package. So that kind of gives you an idea that there's some juice to this system, and it was that's how the project came about. Was just that we saw the grade at surface. I'd done a lot of digging historically on the past production, and always thought it was a crime that it hadn't been drilled before. So we wanted to be the first ones to come in here and drill this Lewiston
What were
district.
the terms for the patented claims? I just want to make sure that there are no massive balloon payments in the very near future that cost massive dilution or anything like that.
No, it's $30,000 a year. We're subject to a 4.5% royalty that we can buy down to 2.5% for a couple million bucks. And so, but there's really that's the agreement. So it's really a convenient position to be in, where we have that kind of cheap acquisition costs, and then we also have surrounding properties that are on unpatented claims that are not subject to royalties.
You partially answered also one of my next questions already. Like, I was going to ask you about the targeting for the drilling, right? So you said a lot of samples, soil samplings, channel samples you've taken. How much actually historical data were you able to acquire that helped you with the targeting?
Well, the one of our advisors is a guy that used to work for the State Geological Survey, and so he is mapped. He's done most of the baseline work for the whole district here in the Miners Delight Archean Belt, and so there was quite a bit there. I mean, we had kind of snippets on all the old mines in the area, and we're continuing to look at a lot of those regionally as well as we build our land package. But the district itself produced about 500,000 ounces, so we know that it's a proven producer. And this was all with very primitive methods. Pre 1930. I think the last mine on the northern end of the district there closed in 1956, and but with that was when gold was $35 an ounce. So I think today's economics for these high grade districts are much different, and it's very rare to find a big area like this that's never seen any drill testing that has produced that kind of gold in the past.
You mentioned you're permitted for 3,500 meters of drilling. Let's assume that's 10 holes. You might be done fairly quick with that. Like, what's the next step in terms of permitting? Like, what do you need to do?
Yeah, so we should receive our final permits in May of this year for the program to start, and then the initial target is drill ready. We've got about 30 pads in our permit applications, and so that's in process right now, and then we're planning on getting the drill rig set up and running shortly thereafter. In the meantime, we're going to be continuing to build our land package. We're going to be continuing to sample the prospects in the district, and kind of creating that regional play to where we don't just have one target that we're drilling. We have several, and so we have several already. There's already 4 different mineralized structures that we've identified, all within about a kilometer and a half of each other. One of them is copper gold at the Miz. We've sampled up to 2% copper at surface. And then we've sampled up to 5 grams on some of the other structures that are parallel to the Wolf, just 500 meters away. And even up the strike, we're getting some decent gold numbers up, 2 grams at surface. So I think there's potential here for a lot to be found, and we've also kind of confirmed that all of these gold-bearing structures seem to have a very similar geophysical signature to them as well, and that's important because it kind of gives you an idea of what you might be seeing at depth underneath the surface mineralization. So, there we can't ask for a better first target. It's textbook orogenic gold, and we like what we're seeing so far. We're very excited to get started with the
I can
drilling this
imagine.
summer.
Yeah, fantastic. So drill start June, you mentioned. Is that the earliest? Like you said, mid-May permits. What's the mob time?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. So the field program's going to start in the next couple of weeks here. So we're already, I out sampling already, and we should have some sampling results coming in May. We'll be staking. We'll be, acquiring new lands, and then we'll start the drilling probably in July 1st. And so that's kind of the ideal time to get in there and get started. And so then we're hoping to keep the drill rig turning as long as we're having success through the end of the season. So
Fantastic. I think we covered it all. Like maybe the only thing, and I've got your catalyst slide or like the goals for 2021 in front of me. One thing we haven't talked about is maybe the community. Who or what is around it? Is there anything worth mentioning?
yeah, so we're about an hour south of Lander, Wyoming, and this is it's an uninhabited area. The only land around there is really a few private parcels, and then mostly mining claims and gold enthusiasts that have little placer claims and stuff like that there, as well as a lot of BLM lands. And BLM land dominates Wyoming. So it's just like Nevada in the sense that a lot of this is BLM owned land, and the permitting process is pretty straightforward. So none of our properties are on Forest Service or anything that's going to be a huge hurdle to permit. That being said, we're always mindful of the wildlife and the environmental concerns that people have, and so we want to make our exploration program as low impact as possible.
Amazing. I think we covered it all for now. Like we should talk again once drilling starts, of course, and once maybe the first couple holes are out. So yeah, it'd be great to catch up. Like I wish you all the best this year. I'm quite excited, like to see that. Obviously, the targets are obvious, so curious to see what the first few holes bring, and to wish you best of luck.
Yeah, we're really excited to see what the drilling results are, and at this stage of the company, it's all about discovery, right? And so that's the biggest value driver for juniors, and we're excited that we think we're on the forefront of that right now. So thanks a lot, Kai. I appreciate
That's
your
great.
time
Thanks for
today.
joining us on Discovery Thursday. As I said, 8 million market cap. I think there's lots of opportunity. Keep in mind, there's always lots of risk associated. Can you imagine West putting the drill in the wrong direction? And no, I'm kidding, obviously, but there's always high risk, high reward, of course. If the company hits, I'm sure the share price will benefit, and we will be taking a close look at it again very, very soon. Wes, again, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. And everybody else, thanks for
Thanks a
tuning in.
lot,
Thanks for
Kai.
watching this. Yeah,
Always good
it
to
was.
chat.
And thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching SF Live episode 162, Discovery Thursday. So, where we try to highlight smaller companies, pre-drill stage most often, pre-discovery. And we hope we highlighted a good one here today, and appreciate you joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels. Don't forget to turn on the bell notification. That way you get notified when we go live with an update. Be ahead of the crowd. Follow our live interviews. Thanks so much. We'll be back actually at 12:30 in about a couple hours with another breaking news special with Dory Copper now.